Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the Fitness Band by Soul Electronics. So the Fitness Band actually did not start out being created by Soul Electronics. It was a Kickstarter project that I funded. It was touted as being the affordable fitness band. It was pretty cheap. It was around $40 if you were an early adopter. I think it's like $50 now. I'll check. I'll make sure I'll put that in a link in the description. $50 for the regular consumer. It was originally created by Jaha, a company called Jaha, and they were responsible for the band fitness tracker and the app. And I think about halfway through the project, they decided they were going to farm the band out to Soul to create Soul Electronics. And this was kind of disappointing because the band didn't turn out, or so the tracker didn't turn out how they originally promised. And, it's understandable, things change, but the fact that they kind of farmed it out to someone else was kind of disappointing. So you'd think that, well, maybe all the resources went into the app, right, to make a reliable and good app. We'll get to that. So let's start with the band first, the actual tracker by Soul Electronics. Now, the tracker is pretty basic. I mean, it's got a display and everything on it, and it gives you basic information like your steps, calories burned, distance traveled, how long you've been active for, as well as your activity level, which I'm not exactly sure what that does. Even after reading the manual, it's actually kind of confusing considering that the manual conflicts with what's on the website. But not that it matters, it always reads 0 anyway, but I'm assuming that's due to a bug since the whole band the tracker is a buggy mess, but we'll get to the rest of that in a second. Now, the steps work like you would expect them to. It's a pedometer. They all have varying different degrees of accuracy, and this is no different. It's pretty accurate. Now, the calorie thing is interesting because it adds calories even while you're inactive. So it's like using your basal metabolic rate, which I don't know where it gets that from. It doesn't really collect much information about you when you set the thing up in the first place. Maybe it just goes off of the average person's basal metabolic rate. I don't know, but it adds calories while you're inactive. And I'm not entirely sure whether or not I like this feature because I assume it gives you more of a complete picture of what your caloric burn was at the end of the day with inactive and active kind of put together. But at the same time, it's not going to be accurate. Not that calorie burning measurements are accurate on fitness bands in general. Depends whether or not your fitness tracker has a heart sensor attached to it or not, but which this does not. So take it or leave it. It's going to be one of the more inaccurate pieces of information on this band. Now the next thing is distance traveled, which worked at first when I started reviewing this. But then a few days in, it just stopped doing anything. It stopped adding up anything until the point now where it always reads 0. I may have 10 to 20,000 steps a day, but apparently I've traveled nowhere. All right, let's go for a jog. All right. All right, let's see how far we went. Maybe he just thinks I'm walking in place. I don't know. But again, another bug on this the tracker, which is kind of frustrating because I don't think there's really any way to get a software update on this band, this tracker. So moving on to the next bit of information, which is the activity level. This is pretty straightforward. It just calculates how long you've been active for, how long you've been up and moving around. And again, the activity level, I don't know what that does. Again, that always reads 0. But then one final feature of the tracker is, if you read the website and all the other information about it, it says it tracks your sleep. So you're assuming maybe it works like other trackers where it calculates the quality of my sleep based on how much I move around and all that kind of stuff. No, false. This does not do that. All this does is when you put it into sleep mode, it just starts adding up how long you've been asleep for, or how long it's been in sleep mode for. It doesn't do anything other than just count the minutes that it's been in sleep mode, which is also disappointing. There's not really a point to even putting it in sleep mode, actually, unless you really wanted to know how many minutes down to the minute you were asleep for. But another flaw with this function is that if you forget to take it out of sleep mode in the following morning, it will not add up your steps. It's not like other trackers where after X amount of steps it will bring it out of sleep mode, and I'm like, oh, okay, this person's walking, so they must not be sleeping anymore. So let's start adding the steps, or let's add these steps that I've been backlogging into the display. This does not do that. This counts nothing while you're walking around if it's still in sleep mode. And this has happened to me a couple times where I've gone through about half the day, realized it's still in sleep mode, and I'm like, shit, it has calculated nothing for me, and the day has been a waste as far as tracking my progress. Another thing about the tracker is that the bands that they give you, these rubber bands that the tracker fits inside, a lot of people have been having issues with the tracker falling out and then losing the tracker. This is not good. I, however, haven't had too much of an issue with this. It has actually fallen out once or twice on me, but luckily it was right there, and I heard it fall and hit the hardwood floor in my apartment, so I was able to find it. But I can see it being very easy to lose this thing, especially if you have like bigger wrists or whatever, and it just sort of wants to just pop out and fly and fall on the floor. And if you're out and about, like not at home, I imagine it'd be very easy to lose. So this is another negative to the band. And one final thing about the tracker is that, actually the two final things, is you can, if you're worried about like getting it wet and stuff, you can get it wet. It can be submerged up to 2 meters in water. I didn't try submerging it in 2 meters of water, but I did take a shower with it every day, and I didn't have any issues. Some people have reported getting moisture within the display. I have not had that happen yet. Maybe it just depends on the tracker that you have. Some may be more susceptible than others to getting moisture within the band. I don't know. But then one final thing is that it only keeps 24 hours worth of data stored on the tracker. So if you forget to sync at night, or the app doesn't let you sync because that's also a buggy mess and freezes and crashes, we'll get to that, you're out of luck. You will not have that the following day when you wake up. That data will be gone, and there's no way to get it back. A lot of trackers keep maybe like roughly, I think it's like 3 days worth of data. A lot of other trackers, somewhere around there. So that way, if you forget for whatever reason or can't sync up one night, it's no big deal. You can sync the following morning or during the day. This, if you don't sync at night, you're screwed. You lose the data. So it's a very finicky piece of hardware and software. It's hard to recommend this band. But let's move on to the app. Maybe that's better. Okay, so the Jaha Fitness app that you pair with this device is sort of the main thing. That's what they're advertising. That's what the Kickstarter project was in the end all about, was this app. So how good is it? Not very. It has 3 basic functions. It syncs and archives your data that you've had from previous days. You can set challenges for yourself, and you can meet other fitness people. And I'll go into a little bit of explanation about these things. First of all, the syncing, probably one of the weaker components, because like I said, the whole app freezes and crashes constantly. Now, granted, I was on a beta version of the app during this review process. By the point that you're watching this, maybe they'll work out some of the kinks. I don't know. But the way things have been going, this app was delayed twice and still has this many amount of bugs. It's almost unforgivable at this point. There should be no reason that this is as buggy as it is, because it, like I said, crashes, freezes constantly. And the syncing part doesn't even work that well. at least in the version that I'm on. I'll try and sync it like 4 or 5 times, and it'll fail that many times, and then maybe if I'm lucky, it'll sync. But then it will, once you do get it to work, if you get it to work, it will compile your data for you. And then the second thing is you can make challenges for yourself. The second function of this app, you can say like, oh, okay, let's set, like, I want to make this mile time this week or today or whatever, and you can make several different challenges for yourself and others. And this is a cool feature. It kind of keeps you motivated, but not much more to say about that. I mean, it gives you like little trophies and stuff when you complete your challenges, which is kind of interesting. And then the third bit of the app, which is the meeting people, this works somewhat like Tinder, where you can like, it'll bring up a profile picture of someone and their name, and you can pass or, you know, accept or whatever, and, you know, can swipe left, swipe right kind of thing. And if they do the same, you can become like fitness buddies and challenge each other to different, challenges, where you can say like, okay, I can run a mile in this amount of time, or I can do this in this amount of time, or whatever. Can you? And you can challenge each other, which is an interesting concept because you can push each other to do these kind of things. I was not able to test this feature because, again, at the time, this was the beta version of the app. No one really had this, not many people at least. So there was no one I could like, you know, want to be friends with or whatever on this app to challenge. However, I don't know going into the future how, unless this thing explodes or whatever, how good this is going to be, because again, you're limited on who has the app, and if no one has the app, you're not going to find anyone to challenge. So that's kind of disappointing, and it can be kind of hit or miss. It just depends on how successful it is, which I don't see it being. Okay, so let's summarize, huh? The band is affordable. Obviously, that's what they're going for. It's around $50 or so. The app is interesting. It has interesting concepts, like being able to challenge people to different things and meet new people who are interested in the same things. Obviously, fitness. But then the cons in this case seem to outweigh the negatives. Both the app and the band seem to be very buggy. I don't know if the band will ever be updated, or the tracker will be updated. The app will, I'm sure, at one point or another. Like I said, I was using a beta version of the app during this time, during review. So we'll see. But based on the current state of things, I can't recommend this product, unfortunately. But I hope you liked the video, guys. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below if you have suggestions for future videos, or you'd like to just leave a general comment about this video. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos, because each week I do a new video. And I'm ERaege, and remember, you can do this.